Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Hey. So it's been a very long time since I've recorded, and I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's been like 5 months since I've recorded, and life's just been crazy, so I apologize for that. But when I started this channel, I had an idea, obviously, that it would just be for like fun and whatnot, but I kind of had this thought that I would make a space-themed channel, play some space games, and it's kind of hard to do when Zoo Tycoon is the most popular, and Zoo Tycoon isn't going anywhere, but I thought, why not incorporate some more space games to go along with FTL and whatnot. So I had this idea. Why not find a game like this? And this is Star Control 2. And you know, I had, like I was saying, the idea, why not put the 3090 graphics card that I have to use and play a game that is older than I am. Or close to, I don't know for sure. But yeah, so here is a critically acclaimed Star Control 2. It's, like I said, very old, and it's a fantastic game. And I first saw gameplay of this from the Yogscast. I used to be a big Yogscast fan growing up, and since it was so old, the download to play it was free. So I ended up playing it back in the day, years ago, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, I see the title screen is going back, which is cool. I don't think I'm going to watch this, but how about I just go ahead and start the new game? But yeah, I started watching, and I ended up downloading it. I don't think I ever finished, but ooh, the Urquan Masters. So this is Star Control 2, the Urquan Masters. Yeah, they're set free into the open source community 2002. There are many great battles. Earth and her partners in the Alliance of Free Stars against the evil Urquan and its hierarchy of battle thralls. And the Urquan were winning. Meanwhile, on the edge of the known frontier, an amazing discovery was made. Far beneath the surface of an unexplored alien world, a huge underground city. Look at those graphics. Filled with the technological wonders of an advanced alien race, the Precursors, who vanished 1,000 years ago. But then the main Urquan fleet broke through the Alliance's defensive line, isolating the planet, stranding the scientists 100 light years away from Earth. Look at that woman's hand. She has 4 fingers. They waited hopefully for a rescue vessel, which never came. "20 years have passed. We, the survivors of the research mission, have colonized this world. We continued our investigation of the underground city, and we have discovered its purpose. It is a factory. A factory for building starships. How convenient. But there aren't enough materials to make a complete vessel. We can finish only the skeleton of one starship. But that must be enough. Because you must captain the vessel. and return to Earth. To travel the great distance, you must push through into hyperspace. Find out what has happened over these many years. Tell Earth of our plight. And if the war with the Urquan still rages, fight for Earth and the Alliance as well as you can. Okay. So, we are here at the Sol Station. I'm moving forward. As you can see, that's my ship flying up as we approach the sun. And my turning is quite slow. But let's see. Oh!
Attention, interloper. Heed this recorded message. This drone vessel speaks with the voice and authority of Urquan. You are trespassing within Urquan space. This world, Earth, may not be approached for any reason, nor will hostilities against our orbital platform be tolerated. In addition, your ship does not respond to standard hierarchy identification transmissions, and is therefore deemed to be independent. This is not permissible. Only subservience shall be tolerated. This drone now leaves to inform the Urquan of your transgressions. You are commanded to remain here and await the arrival of the Urquan. Disobedience will be punished.
Okay, well, there you have it. That is an Urquan, and that is one of the bad guys. So let me see if I can figure out the controls here. Okay, let's pull up the star map. So yeah, so here's the star map, and you see in the bottom left-hand corner, that's where we are, and all those little dots are different solar systems you can explore. So the idea was, especially with these games in the past, these really old games, was you would play and you would play and you would fail over and over again, but you would figure out a new step along the way. And because there really wasn't any guides online at the time, so you would have to replay and replay and figure out what exactly you're supposed to do. But okay, let's check the manifest, or cargo. I don't think we really have... We don't have any cargo. Devices, no devices. Roster. Doesn't look like there's anything. Game. Okay. Don't need to look at that. Navigate. I think, yeah, once you hit that, you can fly around a little more. But let's see. It would appear I've missed the space station. Or maybe I'm supposed to touch Earth. I'm also wondering about changing my captain. There we go. I'll be Captain Manatee. Flagship, I don't know. Vindicator seems alright for now. Maybe I'll change that later. But, I don't know what that's cyborg. I don't know what that is for. So, let's touch Earth, see what happens. Okay, yeah. Scan Earth. So Earth looks red. Earth is under a shield, I believe. So let's try the space station.
Attention, unidentified space vessel. I am Starbase Commander Hayes of the slave planet Earth. Our hyperwave broadcast is extremely weak. Situation critical. Energy cores exhausted. Scanners and deep radar are non-functional. We cannot identify your vessel. Are you the scheduled hierarchy resupply ship? Repeat, are you the resupply vessel? The starship what? Never mind, look, we won't last much longer. Here's our situation. According to our oath of fealty to the Urquan, we must maintain the starbase, but we have no space vessels of our own, and the shield prevents us from contacting Earth, so we're totally dependent on the Urquan supply vessels for everything we need up here. We know there's a hierarchy base on the surface of the moon, but we can't contact them. The Urquan were supposed to resupply the base at regular 5-year intervals, but we haven't received anything in almost 8 years. What we don't recycle, we can usually synthesize, but to do so, we need replacement radioactives for our generator energy cores. If you could bring us some radioactive elements, we can fabricate the cores ourselves. Are you willing to help us?
Trying to think how I want to do this. Where can we find the radioactive elements you need?
The fastest way to get radioactives in this system would be to land on Mercury and scour the surface for deposits of radioactive elements. But be careful, Mercury's a pretty inhospitable place. Watch out for earthquakes and those high temperature areas.
We will leave now to find the elements you require.
Thanks, I'll make sure to mention this the next time I talk with our masters. I'm sure they will reward you.
Right. Okay, well, I guess we're headed to Mercury. If you see, February 1920, 2155, it just changed. Okay, Mercury is the closest, so let's go to Mercury. So yeah, so time is constantly moving. Alright, here we are. Scan. Alright, so we need radioactives. Alright, well that didn't work, but dispatch. And I think we're definitely going right here, I believe. Oh, no. Okay. So you see in my bottom right corner there were lives. That fire was definitely not touching me, but oh well. Yeah, so we got some though. I am interested in my cargo. Yeah, radioactives, I think, was the orange. There really wasn't very much on there, so that's interesting. I'll do another scan, which really wasn't necessary, but every time we got hit by that fire, we lost some crew, and if you lose all your crew, the dispatch, the little shuttle blows up. So let's move on. So I thought, yeah, this series would be a nice game to get back in to the swings of recording, and I'm gonna be following a guide, so weather is a class 8, tectonics is a class 2. It's really not even worth it. I'm going to leave. So yeah, this game doesn't use your mouse, so you gotta be careful with that. Why don't I go back to Earth? I could go to Mars, but Let's see if I have enough with just the one. And if you run out of crew, your ship explodes, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. We started with 50.
Did you find any radioactive elements for our power cores?
We are ready to transfer radioactives.
We're initiating transfer of radioactives, Captain. Now, as soon as our engineers can refit the energy cores, there, that's much better. Power ratings are climbing. Life support is coming back into the green. Deep radar systems and sensors are now online, and I can scan your vessel. What the hell kind of ship is that? Just who are you, Captain?
I am Captain Manatee of the Starship Vindicator. We are the survivors of the Star Control Science Research Team in the Vela star system.
Star Control Science Mission, huh? Captain, I served as a Star Control officer during the war aboard several cruisers in the Corward Front. And if there'd been any scientific mission to Vela, I would have heard about it.
The mission was highly secret.
You know, come to think of it, there were some rumors that Corridor 9, the Special Operations Division of Star Control, was directing some hush-hush operation near Androsynth Space. The Vela star system. Yes, that would be the right direction. So, Captain, if you say it's true, how do you explain that huge alien starship you're flying? And why are you here? What do you want from us?
We have returned to Earth to give you the technological secrets of the precursors, and to help you fight the hierarchy.
Fight the Urquan. Win back our freedom. I remember having such thoughts myself once, a long time ago. That was in the first years after the defeat, when it was still terrifying to look up and see the bloody glow of the pulsating slave shield overhead. So day and night we gazed up at the impenetrable wall as though the sheer power of our hatred would pull it down. But over the years I spent so much of my time struggling, down on the surface, under the shield, and then later up here trying to keep the station alive, that I'd forgotten what it means to be free, to hate our Urquan masters. And now here you are, in an alien ship of unknown power, offering me your assistance to fight against the hierarchy again after all these years.
That's right.
Captain, your offer is intriguing. It's tempting to think that with your advanced precursor technology, we can somehow crack the Earth's slave shield and reassemble the Alliance to attack the hierarchy. And this time, win the damn war. Consider the consequences if you should fail. The Urquan won't just punish us here on the station, they'll exact a gruesome retribution on the surface below as well. Before I commit this station to helping you attack the Urquan and accepting the risk of annihilation if we are defeated, I have to make sure that you and your ship have what it takes to oppose the hierarchy. I'll make you a deal. If you can eliminate the alien base on the moon and get rid of that threat at least, I will seriously consider your offer.
What details can you give me about the base on the moon?
After the Urquan erected the slave shield around the Earth and established this space station, they decided to leave a contingent of combat ships close to the Earth to keep watch on our planet and confirm that they were obeying the Urquan slave laws. I'm certain they're still out there on the surface of the moon because we can pick up a constant stream of alien broadcasts.
We shall go now and neutralize the base.
Be careful, Captain. There are probably a dozen Spathi eluders and Ilrath Avengers down there on the lunar surface. I don't know why they haven't come after you yet, but when they do, you'd better have your weapons armed and your thrusters burning hot.
Right. Okay, well, there's no doubt about it. This is towards the moon. Scan. Okay, we have some biologicals. Let's land here. Let's see what's going on. So, some sort of way... Okay, yes, this is how you fight. I don't know... Why not? I'm going to go ahead and take these all out. This is going to be very slow going. I do know where the base is, but why don't we pick up some minerals along the way. Oop. I don't know if you're allowed to go off the bottom or not, but... Sorry. Alright, one more. And then that was the base, so we'll hit that up next. And I won't pick up any more minerals, because they're gray and they're not that valuable. Report from surface. We have discovered an alien base and have explored its interior. The installation must have been abandoned many years ago, but great care has been taken to make it appear active. Life support systems are functioning. Fusion generators are at full output, and robotic construction vehicles have been programmed to roam the lunar surface. Not anymore. I killed them all. Bulldozing moon dust into random piles. In addition, we have found the installation's hyperwave locked in transmit mode, endlessly playing the same alien recording. Although we cannot translate the message, our Xenotech ensign Rigby believes the message is some kind of alert or Mayday broadcast. The base is filled with useful materials and equipment. We will scavenge as much as we can and bring it aboard immediately. End of the report. Excellent. Well, that's the moon. That was easy. Guess I'll head back to the space station.
Have you dealt with the base yet?
We fought the base, but it was abandoned years ago.
I'll be darned. All these years we've been listening to their incoherent broadcast, and we never even guessed. Captain, listen closely. Long-range sensors show a ship closing on this station fast. Our computer identifies it as Ilrath, Avenger class. I think you've got a fight on your hands, Captain. Your best bet is to wait until you have point-blank range. Captain, it's jamming our signal.
By the fetid breath of the Dark Twin Kazon, a human and an alien starship. How fascinating. When I intercepted that Urquan drone and learned that an unidentified starship had approached Earth, I never expected to find such a remarkable vehicle in the hands of a human. Humans are prey animals, weak and helpless. But here is a human in an armed starship, and therefore in direct violation of the oath of fealty. I am sure our masters, the Urquan, will punish Earth most severely for this treachery when I present them with the twisted wreckage of your ship and your many charred corpses.
Where the hell did you come from?
Since you will soon be dead, I will gladly explain. We have spent many years gleefully preying on the Pakunk. They are a pitiful, easily killed species. And we would have continued in this divine worship of Dogar and Kazon, but we required additional crew members and repairs to our cloaking device. So we departed the Jiglas constellation and set course for home. But before we had reached our region of space, we detected the passage of a nearby vessel, the Urquan drone. It informed us about you, so here we are. And now, you die!
Alright, well, let's go combat. So we have choices. I can use the main ship, or I can use the Decker. And I don't recall which is the best choice, but let's go ahead and use this sub-ship. Alright, that was easy. So so yeah, that was the combat. And,
what a beautiful sight, Captain. I haven't seen an Avenger blown away like that since the battle in Draco. I guess you've shown that you can handle yourself in battle, Captain. So my last reservation about helping you has been dissolved. I will commit this station to helping free Earth and defeat the Urquan. We may get our atoms rearranged in the process, but by God, Captain, we're going to try. So the obvious first step is to get the precursor equipment and software over here so that we can make it work with our ship repair fabricators. But then what, Captain?
Kick major alien butt. We will slowly build our strength, unify an allied Starfleet, and bring the Urquan to their knee equivalents.
A sensible plan, Captain. Let's get to work. Good luck. By the way, Captain, I think we need a name for this new alliance we're going to forge. And since it was your idea, it's only fair that you get the honor of naming it. So, what will it be?
Choices. The Empire Manatee. I'll go with the New Alliance of Free Stars.
Okay, that sounds pretty inspiring. So be it. The New Alliance of Free Stars. Now, Captain, I expect the configuration process for the starbase to take at least 2 weeks, so let's get to work.
Alright, so that's the in-game timer that's going to go off.
I have good news to report, Captain. We have successfully integrated the precursor technology from your ship into our fabricator system, and as you can see, we've already begun minor repairs on your ship, patching up some of the micrometeorite holes. We noticed that your ship does not have an emergency warp escape unit, so our engineers rigged up some for you and each of your escorts. Now, you should be able to escape from a bad situation with the touch of a button. But there is a cost, however. The unit gulps up 5 fuel units each time your precursor ship uses it. Also, we now have a limited capacity to make modifications to your ship, to refine starship fuel, to build additional combat ships, and to train new members of your crew for the flagship and any ships you acquire for your fleet. Captain, I know you're eager to get to work, so I'll be brief. If you have any questions how this starbase works, what resources we need, or just some background information on the galaxy, don't hesitate to ask.
Alright. Commander, I have minerals to offload.
The more minerals you bring us, Captain, the faster we'll be able to tackle the Urquan.
Excellent. I'll go ahead and... Let's go ahead and listen to this background info, and then I'll probably call it here. Before proceeding, I need some additional background information.
Certainly, Captain. What do you need to know?
Would you elaborate on the facilities here at the starbase?
We can modify your precursor ship, build additional combat vessels, and supply you with fuel and crew.
What can you do to enhance and modify the
Our
indicator?
engineers and precursor specialists agree with the scientists from your world that your starship was designed to be a workhorse vehicle, which can be easily reconfigured for different missions by adding or swapping self-contained equipment packs, which we call modules. The modules we can build right now are thruster units, which make your ship move faster, attitude jets, which allow you to rotate the ship more quickly, crew pods, which provide life support facilities for up to 50 additional crew members, storage bays, which increase your ship's cargo capacity for mineral resources, fuel tanks, which hold an additional 50 units of fuel, dynamos, which feed energy into your combat energy batteries, improving your weapon's rate of fire. And last but not least, ion bolt guns, combat weaponry, the exact function of which depends on its location aboard the ship. When put in the first or front module slot, it fires a single shot forward. When put in the second slot, it fires 2 shots, spread to the left and right of center. When put in the third slot, it fires 2 shots directly, left and right. And when put in the last or rear slot, it fires a single shot straight backwards.
Okay, good to know. I forgot that. Well, I remember the forward shots, but not the backwards one. How will I get fuel for the Vindicator?
This base is designed to service hierarchy ships. Fortunately, your flagship uses the same stabilized antimatter technology as hierarchy vessels and will be able to synthesize what you need. However, due to the size of your ship, we'll have to produce vast quantities of fuel, which will be a substantial drain on our resources.
Understood. How can I assemble a fleet of fighting ships?
Our shipyard facilities are sophisticated and fully automated, permitting a handful of starbase personnel to do the same job as 500 vac-suited construction workers. However, the only designs that we had in our computers were incomplete hierarchy ship designs. Things looked grim until one of the officers came forward with an amazing story. Even though the Urquan destroyed every Earthling cruiser in the fleet nearly 20 years ago, one of my maintenance engineers was a Starship production assistant at the Detroit shipyard. When Earth was conquered, she was ordered to destroy all ship construction databases. But she secretly made copies of the blueprint disc and then kept them with her ever since. These discs contain all the data we need to build as many Earthling cruisers as you want, provided you, Captain, can supply the large amounts of mineral resources required to build those vessels. In theory, Captain, we could build alien starships here if we had designs for them. However, it's a well-known fact that alien vessels just can't be flown in combat without native starship captains at the helm.
How will we acquire additional personnel for my ship?
We have almost 2,000 highly motivated, skilled professionals aboard this starbase, and every single one of them wants a berth aboard your starship. However, each hand we lose to your ship means less manpower here at the starbase, and this is reflected in the crew RU cost. As long as you don't lose too many crew members to combat or planet exploration, the RU cost will remain static. But we have only so many warm bodies on this starbase, and if your needs for crew grow beyond a certain point, the cost could increase dramatically.
So that's something you have to keep in mind. You can't just needlessly sacrifice your crew. Would you please explain your resource allocation system?
As you know, Captain, we've committed the entire output of this station to building your flagship and your battle fleet into the strongest force possible. However, our resources are very limited, and we feel you must decide how we are to spend our effort and material. To aid you in making these decisions, we have implemented a resource allocation scheme. We provide you with a numerical assessment of the station's resources and ascribe a cost to each task we can perform and each device we can build. It's up to you to decide how you're going to spend your resource units, or RU as we call them. To acquire more RU, you must bring resources back to the starbase. These resources can be either in the form of mineral ores gathered from planet surfaces or already refined metals and other valuable materials from the wreckage of enemy starships.
What kind of resources are most useful to our mission?
The most straightforward way you can accumulate resource units is to bring mineral ores back to this starbase. There are probably enough resources in just the nearby dozen stars to build your ship into a powerful battleship or to create a strong task force of combat vessels. I would also recommend that you build several additional storage bays. When gathering minerals, focus on cleaning out one star system at a time. This way you minimize the cost of travel through hyperspace.
Yes, makes sense. My dog going in the background. What use are our planet landers' sophisticated life form analysis features?
While I respect your search for abstract knowledge, frankly, Captain, in our present circumstances, I see little use for such data here. Perhaps you could make use of biological information elsewhere.
Okay. You have answered my questions on this topic.
What else can I tell you?
Yeah, okay. I would like some historical data.
What aspect of history, Captain?
Probably going to go on for a while. I would like to know about the other starfaring races.
Which group of aliens?
The members of the Old Alliance.
Okay. Which race?
The Shofixti.
The Shofixti are a race of intelligent marsupials who had been civilized for only a few decades when the war began. They were discovered in the Delta Gorno star system by the Yehat, who adopted and then uplifted the Shofixti, giving them advanced technology and cultural definition. Shofixti are noble and fearless warriors, Captain. In addition, their incredible fecundity and rapid maturation rate kept Alliance ranks solid even at the worst part of the war. You know, I once flew as an observer aboard one of their ships on routine patrol. We never saw the enemy, but I could never stop thinking about the glory device it had strapped to the bottom of its hull.
Yeah. The Yehat.
The Yehat are a race of ancient warrior clans that have been traveling the stars for many centuries. Clans are highly competitive and sometimes even wage war on each other, but the clans are all loyal to the Queen and her royal family, known as the Veepzeeps. The Veepzeeps have been in power for over 2,000 years, and it is said that during their rule, the Yehat never lost a battle.
The Arilu.
I'd like to think I'm not a bigoted person, Captain, especially when it comes to allies, but there's just something about those Arilu that gives me the creeps. One thing I'll say for them, though, they possess some technique for moving really fast through hyperspace. They never let us know what it was, but sure beats the pants off our fastest ships.
The Chenjesu.
The Chenjesu were leaders of the Alliance, even though they refused to accept formally the title. I don't know if their silicon-based biology is just plain superior to our old carbon models, or if their fantastic intellect were the product of an ancient, peaceful culture. Whatever the reason, I'd rather be taking orders from a Chenjesu than any other life form, absolutely. One of the more amazing things about them was they never used hyperwave communicators. They could send messages naturally, and their natural hyperwave receptors were much more sensitive than even our best units.
The Myrna Herm, I think.
We didn't really get much of a chance to learn about those mechanical beings, but I'll tell you what I know. They're the product of a distant, unknown culture who sent a giant factory arc into our region of space many centuries ago. The Mother Arc, that's what the Earth Press called it, churned out millions of robots and finally broke down. I don't know why the Myrna Herm didn't repair the Mother Arc. Maybe they can't. My personal guess as to why they were sent here is that they're on the leading edge of a colonization project. And once the Myrna Herm attained enough new worlds, the genuine colonists, whoever they are, will arrive and claim their due.
The Cyrene.
Most raw recruits saw the Cyrene as nothing more than warm, breathing pinups. Warm they are, and yes, they do breathe most magnificently, but Captain, they are far more than simple joy units. The history shows the Cyrene established and maintained a peaceful culture from their Bronze Age through their discovery of starflight. Before their planet was destroyed in a horrible cataclysm, their world was an Eden.
They're like Asaris, you could say. Alright, that's enough about the Alliance.
What other group of aliens are you interested in?
The hierarchy and their battle thralls.
Which species?
The Urquan.
Our enemy is cunning, relentless, and possesses technology superior to all, but perhaps that found aboard your starship. The Urquan are born, live, and die for one purpose only: the subjugation of all other intelligent life in the galaxy. Why? I don't know. They'd probably have an easier time just destroying intelligence, but they're very careful not to use more force than is necessary to achieve their victim's submission. I'd sure like to know what made those wormy bastards as twisted as they are, and I'd like to know why they keep on the move, never stopping longer than it takes to enslave whomever they find.
Alright, so that's the big bad guys. The Mycon.
The Mycons are hard to get a handle on. In fact, I'm not sure any human has ever had a real conversation with a Mycon. What we know of them, we've learned from their corpses, which, I may add, have a nasty habit of coming back to life when thawed out from a decompression quick freeze. Mycon ships seem to expend a significant amount of energy on life support. This is probably because the Mycon only thrive in temperatures close to the melting point of lead. As far as we know, the Mycon are the only race to actively seek out the Urquan in order to become combat slaves.
The Spathi.
Imagine facing a cowardly, mobile clam armed with a howitzer, and you've got a good idea of what it's like dealing with the Spathi. Although they tend to avoid battles as much as their masters will allow, once in battle, a Spathi eluder is one tough cookie. I once heard a rumor, though I don't like to believe in it myself, that a rogue band of courageous Spathi broke away from the main Starfleet, painted their ships black with bright red stripes, and formed the Black Spathi Squadron, dedicated to performing brave and hostile deeds. Like I said, I'd have to see it to believe it.
The Unga.
It's unfortunate that the Umga fell to the Urquan so early in the war, because I suspect we would have gotten along well with those big blob creatures. At the very least, it would have been entertaining. We know them a bit better than most races because they were eager to talk with our ships before, after, and during battle. The Arielu intimated that they had a relationship with the Umga before the Urquan arrived, but I don't know any details.
The Androsin.
When I was flying combat missions along the Corward Front, there was nothing we feared more than the Androsin hit-and-run squadron. Their blazer ships were more than a match for our cruisers, so we stayed clear of Ada Vulpeculae, their home star. In addition, I think each of us aboard the ship knew deep down in our hearts that the Androsith had a damn good reason for hating it. Our grandparents had kept them as slaves for nearly 50 years.
Right. So you may notice some little hints when they drop the names of certain space solar systems. Captain Hughes here did it, and the Ilrath did it. So let's hear about the Ilrath.
I still have nightmares about those spiders taking me prisoner, using me as one of their 6 sacrifices to Dogar and Kazon, their twin gods of destruction and torment. Those guys were almost as scary as the Andersons to those of us in Deep Space Patrol. Their Avenger ships could appear out of nowhere and melt a cruiser down to slag in seconds. Luckily for us, the bulk of the Ilrath fleet was thrown against the Chenjesu and the Myrnaherm.
The Vux.
The Starship Far Voyager under the command of Captain Jeffrey L. Rand encountered the Vux near Beta Mira. Although the details are hazy, it's generally accepted that Rand offended the Vux starship commander with an inadvertent insult.
That's enough information about the hierarchy.
What other group of aliens are you interested in?
Were there any alien races who weren't in the war?
None that we had made formal contact with. The Chenjesu implied that they had met 2 other star-faring species, one near the Gickless constellation and the other directly coreward from Procyon. The Arilu Lalile once mentioned having some fun with an alien race in Draconis, but like so much else with the Arilu, they never revealed the whole story. I'm sure there are hundreds more alien races in our galaxy, but beyond what I've told you, your guess is as good as mine.
I have sufficient information on this subject.
Would you like information on any other aspect of history?
I am interested in the war against the hierarchy.
What about the war?
How did the war with the Urquan start?
Earth got involved late in the game in 2112 when the Chenjesu arrived in our solar system for the first time. So let's back up a few years to 2098 when the Chenjesu super-sensitive receivers detected a strange signal from the Ophiuchi constellation. Though even the Chenjesu didn't know it, it was the first sign of the Urquan's arrival. The Urquan, having detected the presence of many sentient species, were beaming out an exulting hunting cry. The first direct evidence of the Urquan's intent was the sudden conquest of the Umga, a solitary though not unfriendly species in the Orionis constellation. The Chenjesu, distraught by the invasion, were further angered when the Urquan turned their fleets on the hostile but weak Ilrath race. A hastily assembled defense force of Myrnaherm and Chenjesu vessels turned the Urquan fleet aside, but the invader moved into Spathi space, rapidly subjugating that race. With each new conquest, the Urquan fleet grew larger as it added slave vessels to its ranks. Earth joined the Chenjesu to form the Alliance of Free Stars at about the same time as the Androsynth stars fell to the Urquan Armada. Before the ink was dry on our agreement with the Chenjesu in 2116, a new race appeared in orbit around the moon and asked for admittance to the Alliance. It was the Arilu Lalile. Timing seemed unusual, and the Arilu were definitely weird, looking like saucer men from Mars, but we were too busy cranking up our mothballed heavy industry that we really didn't pay it much attention at the time.
Right. What happened during the war?
At the start of the war, here on Earth, we were working like crazy, churning out hundreds of heavy cruisers and smaller support vehicles. The Urquan were busy too. Unbeknownst to us, they had moved down towards the Luton Star Group and were attacking the Vux, who only the Yehat knew existed. Our botched first contact with the Vux took place in 2119, and it was the biggest single mistake we made during the war. After defeating the Vux, the Urquan fleet ran smack into the combined might of the Yehat and Shofixti, supported by the first wave of our cruisers. Again, the Urquan turned away from the hard spot to attack the weak, though we just thought they were running away. In fact, the Urquan had found another independent alien race, the Mycon, in the Brahi constellation. The Mycon's voluntary submission to the Urquan brought the return of the Urquan fleets, now swollen with 100 devastating Mycon pod ships. The last entrants to the conflict were the Cyrene, a race of space gypsies who had escaped the hierarchy by moving their vast fleet of slow-moving habitats into human space. With the side set, the last Urquan offensive began.
How did the war end, Commander?
The Urquan came roaring through Vux space and tried to push past the India and Mira star systems. Their onslaught was barely repulsed, and our counterattack made hardly a dent on the hierarchy forces, but we held the line. The coreward front remained intact. Over the following 10 years, there were many great battles between the combined Alliance Starfleet and the Urquan and their hierarchy of battle thralls. Then in 2134, a dramatic shift in the balance of power took place. This must have been about the time the science research mission was sent to the planet of Vela. Our fleets were pushed back from the Indy-Mira line beyond Raynet. Holding Rigel caused grievously in Chenjesu forces, and the Urquan, recognizing this weakness, shifted to focus the brunt of their forces on Procyon. That was the last we heard from the Chenjesu and the Murnaherm. A few weeks later, waves of ships hit us from all directions. When Ceres Station, our outpost on the asteroid belt, fell to the hierarchy, we knew we were beaten, but we fought on anyway. 3 days later, the Urquan vaporized our last remaining laser forts on the moon, and the dreadnoughts took up geosynchronous position above Rome, Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo, London, Buenos Aires, and Washington. We'd lost the war, and we knew it. But the Urquan decided to make it real clear. And that's why if you check any of our most recent maps, you won't find Buenos Aires.
It's always Buenos Aires. What happened after the war?
After the UN submitted their formal surrender, we were given a week to decide the nature of our servitude. The Urquan demanded that the decision be made through popular vote. When all the votes were tallied, Earth had chosen not to fight for the Urquan. We had become a fallow slave world. We were given a month to withdraw all of our people and equipment to Earth. Anyone or anything left off-planet would be destroyed after the shield went up. Then the Urquan broadcast an odd message. All objects of human construction more than 500 years old were to be abandoned. We didn't know what the Urquan meant until they moved their dreadnoughts into new orbital positions and opened fire on the surface with their fusion weapons. In seconds, large sections of London, Paris, and other European cities were incinerated. At first, we thought they were going to annihilate us after all. And we noticed they were also striking such targets as the Giza Pyramids, the Parthenon in Athens, and Stonehenge. Curiously, the United States was almost untouched. The flaming rain lasted 40 hellish hours. It took days after we crawled from our smoldering shelters to realize what the Urquan had done. Our new masters had targeted every building, monument, or other man-made construction older than 500 years and destroyed it. In those 2 days, we lost most of the history of mankind. In some cases, the Urquan destroyed places we did not even suspect were significant. From their positions in orbit, the dreadnoughts blew away a kilometer of land in central Iraq, vaporized several targets in the Amazon rainforest, punched a big hole through the Antarctic ice cap to destroy something deep under the surface, and melted a broad swath of the ocean floor in the southeastern Atlantic. Then, just a couple of days later, the shield went up, and our contact with the outside world stopped. The next time I saw the stars was 8 years ago, when I was transferred up here to be the new commander of this starbase.
Thanks, Commander, for the briefing.
Would you like any information on any other aspect of history?
I need some information on ancient galactic history.
We have some data on this subject. What do you want to know about?
What can you tell me about the precursors?
Hell, you probably know more about them than I do, but here goes. About 200,000 years ago, when our great-to-the-nth grandparents were just starting to play with stone knives and bearskins, a star-faring species suddenly appeared on the galactic scene and spread like wildfire. We found evidence of their presence just about everywhere, from an orbital platform on Alpha Centauri to a stack of data plates in a cave on Pluto to some nameless widget found in a voodoo shop in New Orleans. And we never found a precursor body or even a picture of one. We can conjecture what they look like by examining the scale and layout of their equipment. Such an analysis indicates they were giants, say 5 to 8 meters tall and twice as wide. I don't know if they looked more like a brontosaur or an elephant. Anyway, about 3,000 years after the precursors made their dramatic appearance, they vanished. Poof! As far as we can tell, it took less than a decade to happen.
What about other races from the ancient past?
You mean besides the precursors? Well, the only information we have is secondhand based on some research by a Chenjesu historian that I read at the academy. Zetsert, the historian, found some evidence that there was a group of alien races who formed an interstellar empire not too far from here about 22,000 years ago. The only species in this empire actually lived in our region of space was a race of rock-like creatures who lived in the Vulpeculae constellation. The presence of the hostile androsynth in that part of space severely limited Zetsert research. He never even found out the race's name.
Is there any indication that aliens visited Earth in the past?
Yes, there is. Aside from the precursor relics we have found on Earth, often in museums mislabeled as modern art, we've discovered disturbing evidence of much more recent visitation. Perhaps you're already aware that during the mid to late 20th century, there were unaccountable UFO sightings as well as dozens of reported encounters with alien life forms. Although we can discount many of the reports as wishful fabrication or traumatic translation, the military authorities of the time kept a secret record of the incidents which were legitimate. In each such case, the aliens are almost identical in appearance. They have white skin and minimal facial features except for huge almond-shaped eyes, which are often described as glowing or luminescent. This description fits almost perfectly the Arielu Lalile. In most of the legitimate encounters, the people involved describe being physically examined or modified by the aliens. In some cases, unusual pregnancies occurred, and in almost every instance, there were repeat visitations as though the Arielu Lalile were doing checkups on their subjects. We never got the chance to confront the Arielu Lalile about what they did to us and why. I wonder if we ever will.
Oh, there's a throwback to modern days. Area 51. This is fascinating, but I must move on.
Would you like information on any other aspect of history?
No more history,
Sure.
thank you.
Anything else?
I would like your input on how we can defeat the Urquan.
Can you be more specific?
Where can I find the most useful, plentiful mineral resources?
If you have the patience, I would recommend you spend several months or even a year gathering mineral resources. You can find such minerals on almost any planet's surface, but the quality and density will vary depending upon the type of planet you're on. Base metals are probably the most common materials you'll find, but they aren't particularly valuable. You can find rarer precious and radioactive elements on metal-rich worlds such as Mercury. An old miner once told me that you could tell the relative quality of a planet's minerals based on the planet's color as seen from space. Remember the color sequence from good to bad? The miner had a mnemonic that went something like, very young orangutan could grow bananas perhaps rather well. It is also the case that mineral yields will be better at hotter stars. Temperature is related to the size and color of the star. Red stars are the coolest, then orange, yellow, green, blue, and the hottest stars are white.
How should I deal with aliens I meet in space?
That all depends on whom you meet, doesn't it, Captain? Well, in all seriousness, if you encounter the Ilrap, Bucks, Androsynth, or other hierarchy battle thralls, I wouldn't hold out much hope for a peaceful encounter. So if you feel you have the advantage, attack. The resources you will scavenge from the enemy's wreckage are well worth the effort. If you can find alliance races who are in a position to help us, then you must convince them to join with us. Their assistance may be crucial to our success.
If you were in my shoes, what would you do now?
Let's see. You need to build up and balance the strength of your flagship. I would add thrusters up to, say, 5 or 6. Speed is essential in combat, but it would also pay off over the long haul in hyperspace. And if you prefer to avoid confrontation, nothing beats a great pair of legs. I would add turning jets for increased maneuverability. I would add enough weapons to defend yourself if you're caught without escort ships. You need more crew, at least 50 to make productive voyages into space. You need additional fuel, at least 50 units. Your weapons will be underpowered in combat if you don't have at least one dynamo. I guess I'd gather more minerals to build up a good supply of resource units.
That's pretty good advice. How can we deal with the Urquan?
Captain, I wish I had an easy answer, but I don't. The only way I can see of liberating Earth as well as the Alliance allies is to destroy the Urquan and their armada of battle thralls entirely.
Commander, do you have any long-range plans to defeat the Urquan hierarchy?
To defeat our enemies, we will need awesome strength, both in your flagship and the fleet, as well as the assistance of powerful new allies. Though combat will be unavoidable and sometimes necessary to achieve our goals, I'm certain your wits will be at least as important as your weapons. You'll need to explore this region of space, gathering resources and information wherever you go.
How can I find the Urquan?
I don't know, Captain, but I suspect their battle thralls know more than we do, so I suggest you try to gather information from them, perhaps by force.
How can we attack the Urquan most effectively?
At first, your ship will be far too vulnerable to permit frontal assaults on the Urquan. Even when your ship is at full power, we're faced with the reality that the hierarchy has thousands of ships. You cannot win the fight alone, Captain. You need allies. Also, towards the end of the war, when the hierarchy broke through the Corward front, we heard rumors that the Urquan had unleashed some kind of super weapon which was unstoppable by normal means. You need to find out if that rumor was true, Captain, because if the Urquan do have such a weapon, we'll have to find some way to stop it, or all our efforts are for naught.
How can I make alliances, and with whom?
If you encounter an unknown alien race, proceed carefully and diplomatically. We need all the friends we can get, and we certainly can't afford any more enemies. Remember, Captain, with your precursor starship, you hold awesome power. But there will be situations when dealing with an alien race where a carrot will serve better than a stick. But first, you must determine what carrot the alien wants.
What is the fastest way for us to build up our strength?
You need to accumulate enough resources so we can build up your flagship and assemble a strong fleet. I'd also recommend that you acquire blueprints for other more powerful ships than our trusty cruiser. I suspect that aliens will not give you such prints unless you form an alliance with them.
Let us move on to another topic.
What else can we discuss?
I have learned what I need to know about this subject for now.
What else can I tell you?
I've done all of those. I do not require additional.
Fine. Is there anything else you need?
Goodbye, Commander.
Be careful out there, Captain.
Alright, well that was quite long-winded, but I think that's a pretty good place to end it. I'm probably going to have these videos around 25-minute mark, but I thought this would be a good place to get all the information out of the way. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. So yeah, more of this to come, and hopefully I can finish this. But it'll be a long way to go, and I am going to follow a guide, so this will be pretty easy peasy. So with that, I'm going to say thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I love you. Not really.